If you're thinking about moving to South Carolina, slow down before you pack your bags because there is a lot that you need to consider. I've lived here my whole life, and having a local perspective can make all the difference. Today, I will walk you through what it is really like to live here in South Carolina. The four main regions of South Carolina are all very different. We have the upstate, also sometimes called the Piedmont. That is going to be the northwest corner of the state. It is situated between Atlanta and Charlotte. This area is home to very popular cities like Greenville and Spartanburg, as well as Anderson and the Blue Ridge Mountains. Then we have the Midlands, which is where I live in the state's capital of Columbia. And it's also home to other popular cities like Aiken, Lexington, and beautiful Lake Murray. The northeastern part of South Carolina is called the PD. This is where Myrtle Beach is located, and it is also home to many smaller but very popular beach towns like Pawleys Island and Litchfield. In the southeast, we have the Low Country, and that is where I was born and raised. The Low Country is home to world famous Charleston, Hilton Head Island, and Beaufort. Its elevation is closer to sea level, and it's known for salt marshes, palmetto trees, and Spanish moss on oak trees. The weather is a huge draw for South Carolina. The weather here is fantastic. We have really mild winters. It almost never snows, and when it does, it is a major life event for all of us. Everything shuts down, or there's going to be at minimum delayed openings. With winter weather, the biggest challenge for us here is that some trees might take some power lines down, and you could be without power for a little while. Also, South Carolina residents do not know how to drive in snow or if there's a mild ice storm, so I would be really careful driving in that kind of weather here if you do not have to get on the road. We also have beautiful fall weather. There are areas in the upstate that have mountains and just beautiful rolling hills, great places to go hiking and see beautiful fall foliage. And I think that our spring is especially lovely in the Low Country. The temperatures are just so mild and enjoyable. And then you have the blooming dogwood trees, azaleas, and wisteria, and of course, the hallmark of spring here, the pollen. Then comes our hot and humid summer. South Carolina gets hot. It is completely normal for us to have 90-degree plus weather in the summertime, and it is very humid. Depending on what part of the state you live in, you may not have very much of a breeze, so plan accordingly. I get a lot of questions about hurricanes, and it is important to be prepared for hurricane season, which is June through November, or for any bad storm that might come through. And that is especially true if you live along the coast in the PD or in the Low Country. Now, as you move further west through the Midlands and the upstate, the effects of a hurricane are not going to be as severe as what you will experience when it first makes landfall along the coast. But we can still get a lot of really nasty weather in the Midlands and the upstate. You can get hail, high winds, tons of rain, and there could also be some flash flooding and potential for tornadoes. So it is important to take hurricane season and bad weather seriously, no matter where you live in the state. I get asked a lot about animals, y'all, a lot. We have bugs, we have snakes, we have alligators, we have deer, we have it all, guys. Bugs and insects go hand in hand with the weather here. Here in South Carolina, we say that the mosquito is our state bird. You know, insects are an issue across the entire state. You know, we have a constant battle with mosquitoes and roaches here in South Carolina, especially down in the Low Country. We have these massive roaches that are called palmetto bugs, and they fly. People that rent a house at the beach get really freaked out by them, and unfortunately, there really is not much that we can do to get rid of them. We can attempt to control them, but they are just a part of life here in a warm and humid environment, and they're going to be more prevalent here in the summertime. Alligators are native to South Carolina, especially in coastal counties. While they may be less common in the upstate and the Midlands, they can still be found in freshwater bodies as you move further north. I see them quite a lot on Lake Marion in the Santee area when I visit my parents at their lake house. In fact, driving the boat around looking for alligators is something that my son loves to do. Snakes are also native and very prevalent here, but only a few of them are venomous, and they tend to hang out in swampy or very heavily wooded areas. So you don't really need to worry about them in your day-to-day life unless you're living right off a body of water or you're in a very heavily wooded property. Deer are also prevalent throughout the state, and unfortunately, they cause a lot of car accidents. So you really have to be careful and watchful even when you're driving in more populated areas. If you are an avid hunter, there are a lot of places across the state that offer really great opportunities to hunt deer, turkey, quail, and dove. If fishing is your thing, you're going to find bass, brim, and catfish in all of South Carolina's lakes and rivers, and you can even enjoy saltwater fishing off the coast as well. South Carolina has both private and public education, and homeschooling is also an option here. South Carolina public schools are ranked 42nd in the nation. Schools are divided into districts, and each district is managed by a school board where the board members are elected by the district residents. Within the public school system, we have your traditional public school, and we also have public charter and magnet schools as well as virtual schools. I am personally a product of South Carolina's public school system. I grew up in Walterboro, a very small town in the Low Country in one of the poorer counties here in the state. I had a great education, and I was really fortunate to have wonderful teachers in every grade who loved what they did and who really did challenge me academically. Now, public schools in South Carolina are going to vary widely in quality depending on the district and the individual school. One thing I've noticed in my 20 years as a realtor is that if you see a school in a popular area that has low rankings, it really benefits you to talk to the families that go there. I know of several schools here that do not rank highly, but if you talk to the families at those schools, the parents are very happy with the teachers. They love the administration, and their children are thriving and happy there. So please do your research and make sure that you find the district and the school that's right for you and your family. Let's talk about the food. Here in South Carolina, we have Southern food and then we have Low Country food. And there is no shortage of amazing restaurants to eat at no matter what city you live in. Southern food is going to be known for grits and sweet tea, fried chicken, collards, barbecue. Now, I'm a mustard-based barbecue girl, but we do have pockets of the state that are known for their vinegar-based barbecue. Shrimp and grits are a classic Low Country dish, and so is purlo, which is kind of like a chicken bog. It's chicken, sausage, rice, and spices. Macaroni pie. We do not do macaroni and cheese here in South Carolina or in the Low Country. We do macaroni pie, and that is basically a macaroni and cheese casserole, and it tastes amazing. Hopping John is also really popular, and we traditionally eat that on New Year's Day for good luck. Low Country boil, also called Frogmore stew or Beaufort boil, depending on what part of the Low Country you're from. And it is shrimp, potatoes, corn, and sausage that is boiled with spices, and it is a favorite to eat during fall and winter along with oysters. South Carolinians are really friendly and very sociable, and this can be a culture shock for people that are coming from other parts of the country, especially if you're moving from a larger metropolitan, more urban area. It is very common for people who do not know you to wave to you while you're driving down a road through a neighborhood in your car, or people in line at a store will want to have a conversation with you. It could be small talk, or it could be a full-blown, completely unsolicited, and likely unwanted conversation. It is completely normal here, for lack of a better description, to have this spontaneous surface level friendliness with people that you do not know and you will likely never see again. No matter where you live in the state, you are never more than a few hours away from enjoying so much of what our state offers. We have beaches, rivers, lakes, and mountains here in South Carolina. The Charleston area beaches are my favorite beaches in the state. I grew up going to Edisto Beach, a small, sleepy beach town that draws a lot of families that are looking for peace and quiet and wanting the beach to be their one and only focus. Other Charleston area beaches like Folly Beach, Kiowa, and Isle of Palms are busier and, closer to getting into the downtown Charleston area for sightseeing and shopping and amazing restaurants. Hilton Head beaches are also really popular. And then you have Myrtle Beach, which is the polar opposite of Edisto. Myrtle Beach is very commercialized. Anything and everything you could possibly want to do is there along the Grand Strand. South Carolina is home to quite a few lakes that are known for fishing, boating, and skiing. Lake Murray, Lake Marion, and Lake Moultrie are in the Midlands area. In the upstate, you have Lake Hartwell, Lake Keowee, and Lake Jocassee. South Carolina has several larger cities that are a lot of fun to visit and be a tourist for a day or for a whole weekend. Charleston is really popular and world-renowned with tons of history and architecture, boutique hotels, and boutique shopping. Charleston also has a food scene that is consistently the recipient of many prestigious culinary and wine awards. Greenville has a really nice and very walkable downtown area and also has a very popular food scene. Their annual Fall for Greenville Festival is so much fun with live music and food vendors, and it is a great way to enjoy their downtown. Columbia also has a lot going on. Riverbank Zoo and the Columbia Museum of Art are popular local attractions, and Columbia has a thriving and a growing local brewery scene. If you're not a college football fan, you might have to become one because college athletics are life here in South Carolina. College football specifically is a very big deal. It is a social event that will dominate people's lives every weekend from the beginning of September until all the bowl games end on New Year's Day. People plan parties, birthdays, weddings, bachelor and bachelorette parties, any major social event that you might be planning. If it is happening in the fall during football season, you had better strategically plan it if you want people to actually show up. The final thing about South Carolina I'm going to give you is traffic. South Carolina is a car-dependent state. Public transportation is very limited regardless of what city you're living in. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it as plainly as I know how. South Carolina has historically been slow to respond to our road infrastructure needs. Highways and interstates lag well behind the demand for them to expand. Now, for us here in South Carolina, we think our traffic is terrible, but in reality, it pales in comparison to traffic from other big metro areas like Atlanta, and of course, even bigger cities like New York and LA. So, let's put our traffic into perspective. In my opinion, the area with the worst traffic, hands down, is going to be Charleston. That market has exploded so much. You have had so much population growth there. And you have to also take into account that Charleston and its beaches are a tourist destination as well. And the road infrastructure just has not kept up to meet the demand and growth. So you have to be prepared for a long commute in Charleston, especially during the rush hour. Myrtle Beach, that can be a doozy in the summertime. The Grand Strand most recently welcomed over 19 million visitors, and the bulk of those people come between June and August. Columbia and Greenville are not quite as bad as Charleston and Myrtle Beach, but we have our own traffic woes during rush hour. Last, let's talk about Interstate 95. Oh boy, it is pretty much a parking lot during holiday season or if there is a college bowl game. South Carolina is a cut-through state for people to get down to Florida and to make their way back home. And traffic is just a nightmare on I-95. If it is Thanksgiving or Christmas, any kind of major school holiday, or if there is a college bowl game, we get so much traffic coming up I-95. Just be prepared to be sitting for a long time. And if you're traveling, go ahead and plan to add an hour or two onto your trip time. I'm Bethany, and I am a Columbia-based realtor with the Geary Group at Keller Williams Palmetto. I was born and raised right here in South Carolina in the Low Country, and I now live in the Midlands, and I think that South Carolina is a great place to live. If you're trying to decide what city is right for you, click the video on your screen and learn why Columbia may just be the right place for you to live.